Given the surprise sleeper hit the first game was, hell, in PAL territories, Dead or Alive Xtreme Beach Volleyball sold well enough to become a part of the Xbox Classics line, it's no surprise Microsoft, Tecmo, and Team Ninja would want another Dead or Alive volleyball game. And with a new generation of hardware ready in the Xbox 360, what better way to show off the power of the new X than with revisiting that private island for relaxation? But you don't have to take my word for it. Remember that one commercial for the first game? Remember what was said at the end?
For hot beaches, there's no power greater than X.
Yes, Keith David. Yes, indeed. And so once again, Team Ninja blessed us all with Dead or Alive Xtreme 2. With the same publisher and developer of the first game at the helm, this game was exclusively released on the Xbox 360 on November 13th, 2006 for North America, November 22nd, 2006 for Japan, and December 8th, 2006 for PAL territories. This game has the distinction of being the last game in the DOA series to have series creator Tomonobu Itagaki's involvement, as he resigned from Tecmo several days before Ninja Gaiden 2 came out, which was about 2 years or so after this game. I don't have that exciting of a story for getting this one, although I did forget to mention it when I went to GameStop to get it along with Virtua Fighter 5 online when I was in middle school, but it all worked out in the end, and I ended up getting both of them the same day, and yeah. The first game had a decent base to build upon, so Itagaki and company decided to expand on the game a bit, add some nice visual tweaks to show off the 360 hardware, and it keeps the core of what made the first game fun. Let's find out how. Once again, the story builds off the events set in the main series, DOA 4 in this case. At the end of the fourth tournament, Helena activates Doatech Tri-Tower's self-destruct and attempts suicide by staying in the building as it collapses. Not long after, though, Zack has his extraction pilot fly through the towers and save her right before the building was about to fully blow up. Helena gives the title to him as a result, which triggers his ending. Him and his girlfriend Nikki go on an Egypt expedition, because the Brendan Fraser mummy movies hadn't quite run their course, not for another year and a half or so, and they find a large fortune from a crypt and take it while fleeing an undead skeleton army. Rick and Evie O'Connell they are not. With this fortune, they revive Zack Island with a little help. See, by the end of the first game, Zack Island was destroyed by a volcano in the center of the island. I guess they didn't even realize that was there, or nobody thought it would actually erupt, huh? Oh, whatever. Nikki left Zack with his jetpack, and well, yeah. Fortunately, they are back together, and with the money and some help from the aliens, they raise the formerly sunken island, with a Scarface reference to boot.
Say hello to my little friend! Say hello to my little friend!
The island resurfaces, is rebuilt, and dubbed New Zack Island.
Look, you're back in business.
I now declare a new era in Zack history!
The game starts off like the first. You can choose from any of the playable female DOA characters here. All of them up to DOA 4 are included. This includes the newest female fighter introduced at the time, Kokoro. Besides her, all the usual ladies are back, and each of them have a specific reason for actually coming to the island. Guess the old false tournament trick wasn't going to work this time. Kasumi wants to find her brother, Tina wants to escape her father, Helena wanted to see Zack about rebuilding Doatech, Leifeng, Lisa, and Kokoro, the latter without her mother's knowledge, just wants a vacation, Christy has a confidential mission,
Howard, got any plans for the holidays?
It's a confidential mission.
and Ayane's following Kasumi. Hitomi sadly fell for the next tournament trick twice. Fool her once, shame on him. Fool her twice, shame on her? Well, if it's fool us 3 times by the time of DOA X3, then screw him. Anyways, pick your girl and go. You won't just get Lisa every time you start, at least after you play through the game once. Sometimes you might get someone else, so there's a bit more chance here. On top of that, you don't have to partner up right away, though you won't be able to play volleyball at the start either if you do this. Only relaxation and the solo minigames, which there are now more of here. So let's break it all down. Dead or Alive Xtreme 2 is very similar to its predecessor. Once again, you are given 14 days on New Zack Island to spend time relaxing, playing volleyball, and generally just having a nice vacation. Each day is broken down into 3 times: morning, afternoon, and evening. You can only do 1 activity per time slot. Once nighttime hits, you can go to your hotel room. There are 3 hotels for the women to stay at: a sea-themed one, that was in Kasumi's DOA 4 ending, funnily enough; a watertop cottage, perfect for waking up and jumping in for a swim from; and a first-class one for those wanting something a bit more upper class. It only changes the look though, not the function. You got the same 3 shops as before: the accessory shop for hats, sunglasses, suntan lotion, etc. You got Zack of all trades for all the odd-end collectibles and what have you, including the blue Kasumi Xbox that was actually a real thing in Japan but is rare as hell nowadays. And of course the sports shop for more bikinis, volleyballs, some tickets for some of the newer games, and watercraft for jet ski racing. Oh yeah, did I mention they've added some new things here? We'll get to that last one in a moment. The returning activities include volleyball, which is pretty much the same as before in the previous game, though there are some differences that make it more difficult than before. The women won't move automatically into the best formation, so you need to be more alert. On top of that, the camera has been adjusted so it's not as erratic in some of the more action-heavy moments, but otherwise you will be back at it before you know it. Pool hopping also returns and has been modified since the Xbox 360 controller doesn't have pressure-sensitive buttons. On top of that, you race another person to the other end of the pool, and you get bonus money if you match the color of the pad on the screen by hitting the corresponding button on your controller. Otherwise, same as before. And now let's take a look at the newer games. Let's start with the big new addition: Jet Ski Racing, aka Marine Race. This pretty much plays like Wave Race 64. You move in between buoys to keep your speed up and earn turbo boost, which you can trigger via a separate button. You can also perform tricks by jumping ramps to earn bonus money. As you play and win more, you can unlock more tracks that are more difficult. Honestly, if you don't want to bother with volleyball, this might just be the mode for you. This mode is honestly so much fun, and I spent more time with it than I'm willing to admit. This is what happens when you don't have a modern equivalent to Wave Race 64. The physics are on point as well, so you're in for a hell of a time. Each jet ski also has its own stats as well, so you can earn enough for a strong one to win races. Now the other minigames. First, Tug of War. You and your opponent are on 2 different pads in a pool. Each of you have one end of a rope. First girl to send the other one down into the pool 3 times wins. This and the next game I'm going to talk about are basically a rock, paper, scissors ordeal. It's basically guess or deduce the opponent's next action and respond as you must before something else happens. You can also fake out your opponent as well as by pushing forward on the left analog stick and pull it back to pull. Be careful not to get faked out yourself or you'll lose balance. You can regain that by tapping A repeatedly. Butt Battle, aka Hip Battle. This is what inspired Keiho, ladies and gentlemen. 2 girls stand on one pad in the middle of the pool, back to back, and they must use their butts to knock their opponents off. Again, the rock, paper, scissors, or Rochambeau approach works here. Forward on the analog stick does a small bump, backwards does a stronger bump. When doing the latter, you might be exposed to the opponent attack. You can also sidestep your opponent bump by pressing up or down, but the timing is tough. Again, first to 3 rounds wins. Itagaki based these off these Japanese shows where bikini models would do these sort of things as a way to make you laugh. Those 2 are fine, but these next 2, not so much. Beach Flags. This minigame is too difficult for its own good. The premise is that 2 girls start lying down on their stomachs, facing away from the flag. When the signal is given, the 2 get up and run towards the flag. First to grab it wins. Not only do you have to be fast, but you have to judge the right amount of distance before pressing B to dive and grab it. If you're too slow, too early, overshoot, or get a false start, you lose. The go signal always comes in at the worst time. It's almost impossible to time properly, and the AI is too fast for its own good at times. I don't recall ever winning this game when I tried, and I generally just didn't like it. But I think I may have saved the absolute worst of the bunch for last, or at least I'd like to think so. Water Slide. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you wanted to make a water slide more like a one-way roller coaster? Here you go. This slide has a loop and another thing you'd find on a coaster in real life, and it's insane. Hold left or right on the left analog stick will turn in that direction, forward to speed up, backward to slow down. lean the wrong way too much or not enough speed on a turn, and the girl flies off the course and falls in. Fly off and fall in! Fly off and fall in! There are 3 specific sections that can change how you do. The first 2 speed up and the third slow down. I never figured it out though until I actually read more about it, and it ultimately feels like a more complicated affair than it should be. Maybe if you get it down for these 2 you'll be fine, but otherwise you'll be in for a rough time. Casinos return with the same games as before: blackjack, roulette, slots, and poker. In the case of poker, you can now actually play a real version of 5-card draw against the other girls as opposed to a video poker version like in the last game. One thing to note about the slots is that if you bet the maximum amount and hit the jackpot on Christie's slot machine, you get a hidden pole dancing sequence with her. Hit 9 jackpots in a row after that, and you might get a secret ticket for the same dance for any character to perform in any swimsuit you choose. You better be the most luckiest person in the world for slots in that case. Besides that, the partnership system remains the same here as in the last game. Keep winning volleyball matches to keep your partner's friendship level up. In addition, playing butt battle and pool hopping will boost it as well, either you winning or letting your partner win. Once again, gift giving returns. You can gift accessories, swimsuits, though more revealing ones are going to be tougher to gift, and the weird stuff you find at Zack of all trades. Once again, the manual helps finding which girls like which things. You can tell how much your partner is feeling by looking at the facial icons just like in the previous game, in addition to greeting dialogue and what have you. When getting a new partner, you can tell where the friendship is at by floating icons next to the portrait on the text boxes when talking. Quicker flowing means stronger bonds. There's actually a lot of attention to details that can give you subtle clues about where things are without beating you over the head with it. Anyway, it all plays out like the last game with the exception of the new stuff, but the layout is the same. 14 days on the island, 3 activities per day. Once you're done, you leave. Funny cutscene happens, the end. Now the technical stuff. The controls for almost all the games are pretty good. Each one is tailored to suit the activity at hand. Volleyball pretty much controls like the digital output option in the original games, and like I said, the 360 controller doesn't have pressure-sensitive buttons. Pool hopping, you'll just push the buttons that match the corresponding color pads, and you'll pick up on in no time. Marine Race controls like Wave Race 64 with some minor adjustments. Mainly, tricks are reduced to simply flicks of the left analog stick off ramps as opposed to holding. Tug of War and Butt Battle have the rock, paper, scissors ordeal, so there's a little getting used to the chance of them, but once you do, you can win easily. Beach Flags, though, sucks. It feels like there's input delay in what you do, and you have to mash so much that it just ends up becoming too tiring to keep up, and it's just not fun. Actually, I take back. I think Beach Flags is the worst of the bunch. The water slide honestly feels like extreme bobsledding with the way the course is designed, but once you understand the course, the controls aren't too difficult to grasp, and you can eventually get to it in no time. Menus are easy to navigate, and all controls are as they should be. The graphics have undergone a serious improvement. Given that this was an early Xbox 360 game, it's impressive it still looks as good as it does today. Even today, actually a lot of early 360 titles I still think look good, like Ridge Racer 6 and all the like, but that's for another time. The game runs on a modified version of the DOA 4 engine. It also runs up to 1080i, but only 30 frames per second. Environments look even better, with clearer and sharper object models. Environments also have more details to them, so everything that looked good in the previous game looks even better here. Hell, the water looks clear and you almost want to dive in yourself. The ambience is also very pleasant here, as environments are backed up with appropriate matching sounds. Other new effects include self-shadowing for better shadows, and new claw simulation techniques allow for better looking apparel. Character models are also pleasant to look at. The girls still look nice in their beachwear, but the hair physics still aren't quite there. But the physics everywhere else seem to work, including the Marine Race minigame, which has a different physics engine from the main game. They even went one step further and gave the females' individual breast their own physics. I kid you not. You wish I was joking. Each breast behaves differently, and if you're one of those plebs who crank the age to 99 in the options menu, then it's a free-for-all there. It's so exaggerating, though, like moving for a long time after a character stops, one or both breasts freeze mid-bounce, that it actually becomes kind of hilarious. Still, the models are nice and shiny, but maybe a bit too shiny. Perhaps a tan would help. This game now has a tan line system. Certain swimsuits will block tanning. If a girl wears a one piece for a while, then changes into a bikini, the outline of the one piece is seen until the rest of the body is fully tanned. So if you want to recreate the Nagatoro tan in-game, you can!
うわキモキモキモキモ
Change frequently to prevent this. Otherwise, graphics are on point. Once again, NSFW mods exist like they did for the previous game, but again, I can't link you because Tecmo/Koei Tecmo are too overprotective of the IP, and I can unfortunately speak from personal experience. Copyright, striking, whatever. Anyway, again, the cursory Google/Reddit search will help you find what you're looking for. The sound design is also good here. It seems when I went back to the previous game, things sounded a bit more compressed than I remembered, but maybe that was the fault of the ZEMU emulator I was using. I don't know. Everything here, though, does sound actually clearer. Menu sounds have been tweaked slightly, but they still work in-game. Individual game sound effects fit well, even if the jet skis sound like they have V6 engines in them. And the previous game's excellent sound design for the effects are done well here. Everything sounds clearer and even better thanks to Dolby Digital. Once again, the soundtrack is also pretty good here. We get more of the bubblegum, pop, girl group / ska stuff in the daytime. Many of the artists featured in the first game return here, with some of the same songs. Maja's How Crazy Are You and Bob Marley's Is This Love return as the intro and credits theme respectively, and once again they can be unlocked to be used in future vacations after one playthrough. Aside from that, Real Big Fish and Bewitched return with The Kids Don't Like It and If It Don't Fit respectively back on the soundtrack. But their other songs heard in the last game, I Want Your Girlfriend to Be My Girlfriend as well, and Jesse Hold On, are gone. The Baha Men also return to the soundtrack, but Move It Like This is MIA. Interesting fact, that song was used in a Nick Jr. promo, of all things, that aired during the premiere of the Blue's Clues special in which Joe debuted. It had kids and certain characters from that show, and other Nick Jr. shows in general, dancing to this song that you wouldn't think / shouldn't be dancing to it. So the fact that it was also featured in DOA XBV, in addition to the promo, and both happen around the same time, is actually hilarious in hindsight. Where was I? Okay, yeah. So Hala and Double Oven substitute for a movement like this. The daytime lineup is further filled with new songs by the likes of Hilary Duff, Diana King, Fatty Coo, Inner Circle, Play, and Sweet Female Attitude. Back in the evening, Janet Kay's cover of Minnie Riperton's Lovin' You returns. Big Mountain is back, but Sweet and Deadly and Feral are gone and replaced by Sweet Sensual Love. All of Olga Tanin's Latin songs from the last game, Me Gusta and Pegaito, are gone and replaced with another Quiero que me quieras, or I Want You to Want Me in Spanish. George Duke's Brazilian Sugar returns as the casino theme, and any other artist not mentioned here didn't make the cut this time. You can use custom soundtracks here, but I never got it quite to work right. Something about having to use a playlist as well within the Xbox Music selection, and then importing it into the game? I don't know, this is supposed to be how it does it for the 360 era, but I prefer the way it worked on the original Xbox. The voice acting is actually pretty good for the most part. Japanese voices return and are what you would expect. Unlike the last game though, this game now has in-game English voice acting as an option, making this the first game in the franchise since DOA 2 Hardcore to do so. There's actually quite a bit of noteworthy talent here as well for anyone versed in knowing voice actors. Carrie Wagrin, Hinton Walsh, Kate Higgins, Karen Strassman, April Stewart, and Masamoyo voice Kasumi/Nikki, Hitomi, Tina, Helena, Christy, and Lisa respectively. And they do a good job, as do the more unknown voice actors. Sadly, not many would return. Only Kate Higgins and Karen Strassman would return for all future English DOA dubs. Carrie Payton does a good job as Zack. And in terms of replayability outside of the main game, hunting swimsuits unless you use the Crystal Boutique to pay real money to unlock all but forgo the achievements, all you can do is online play for volleyball and jet ski racing. But you better have a friend to play those with you, cause it's kind of difficult to find people online easily. You can't do offline exhibition matches or anything like that, and you can view photos you took separately in the main game, but other than that, That's all. Dead or Alive Extreme 2 is a nice improvement over the first game. It has several more fun activities to play in addition to the ones in the original games. It looks a hell of a lot better, plays better, has plenty to keep you coming back, and pretty much keeps the core of what made the first game so good. The turn your brain off and relax sort of nature. However, the hair physics still aren't there. Removing offline exhibition mode sucks. The downgrade to 30 FPS is not so nice. Some games like Water Slide and Beach Flags aren't implemented too well with a difficult learning curve. And I don't really like the Crystal Boutique option since it was an early example of microtransactions. That said, I can still recommend this game for what it is since it does it so well, both new players and those who played the original game. PAL copies are about $15, Japan copies are about $20, and US copies are about $30, the last of which I paid a third of back in the day at GameStop. Not horrible, but I don't know. Either way, I miss this stuff. I give Dead or Alive Extreme 2 a 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the big red button below to subscribe. Check out the other links in the description for more cool stuff, and check out the playlist on screen for more content. See you in the next video.